All right, let's wind the clock back. I mean, way back. Before AI was this buzzword you hear everywhere, before it was literally in our pockets in our homes, it was just a bold, ambitious dream forged back in the 1950s. We're going to uncover the surprisingly deep roots of artificial intelligence. So you gotta wonder, right? Where did this all even start? How do we make the leap from computers that filled entire rooms to the powerful AI we see all around us today? Well, to find that answer, we have to go back to the very beginning, to the pioneers who first dared to ask the big question, could a machine actually think?
Okay, so picture this. It's the 1950s. There's this incredible technological optimism in the air, and this wild idea of a thinking machine starts to feel less like something out of science fiction and more like something you could actually build in a university lab. The quest was officially on.
You know, when these early pioneers first talked about AI, their vision was frankly breathtaking. They weren't thinking about creating a better search engine or getting a movie recommendation. No, their ambition was so much bigger. It was about trying to replicate the very core of what makes us human, our cognitive functions.
And to tackle this huge goal, they kind of broke it down into three main challenges. First up, reasoning. Could a machine actually think logically? Then you have problem solving. Could it untangle really complex puzzles? And then the big one, the holy grail, learning. Could a machine improve itself over time all on its own? These were the fundamental human skills they were trying to build from scratch.
But this leads to a really tricky question, right? A philosophical one, but also a super practical one. If you succeed and build a thinking machine, how do you prove it? How can you be sure it's truly intelligent and not just a fancy parrot simply mimicking things? They needed some kind of test.
And that test came from one of the absolute giants of the 20th century, Alan Turing. In this incredible paper he wrote in 1950, he just sidestepped the whole philosophical mess and came up with a brilliantly simple and practical test for machine intelligence.
The test itself is so elegant. Basically, you have a human judge, an interrogator, who's typing questions to two others that they can't see. One is a person, the other is a machine. And if that judge can't reliably figure out which one is the machine, well, it passes the test. See, Turing's genius was to change the question. It's not about proving if a machine is conscious. It's about whether it can act intelligently enough to fool us.
Okay, so now they had a goal and they had a way to measure success. All these separate ideas were starting to come together. It was time to make it official. You know, give this whole movement a name and turn it into a real, formal field of study.
And man, things started moving fast. The same year Turing published his test, 1950, you have another genius, Claude Shannon, laying the theoretical groundwork for computer chess. Then, boom, just 6 years later, a computer scientist named John McCarthy gives the field the name we all know and use today. The big moment, the official birthday party for AI, was this event in 1956 called the Dartmouth Summer Research Project. This was it. McCarthy got all the top minds in one place, and they officially christened their new field artificial intelligence. You can really think of that moment as AI's birth certificate. So the field has a name. It has this huge, ambitious goal. But was it all just talk? Could they actually build something? Could they go from pure theory to an actual program that showed even a tiny spark of this so-called artificial intelligence? And wouldn't you know it, right on cue, we get the Logic Theorist. It was developed by Alan Newell and Herbert Simon, right around that same time. And this thing is widely seen as the very first true AI program. Its goal was, well, it was wild. It was designed to mimic the abstract process of human problem solving. And here's the kicker. It actually worked. The Logic Theorist was able to prove mathematical theorems all by itself. I mean, that was a massive proof of concept. For the very first time, a machine did something that people pretty much thought only a human mind could do. The dream was suddenly very, very real. But, and this is a big but, these pioneers were running straight into a wall. Their ideas were light years ahead of the technology they actually had to work with. They had these grand ambitions, but the tech of the 1950s just could not cash those checks. I mean, just look at this comparison. It really puts it all into perspective. The computing power they had was just tiny. Forget about complex algorithms. And data? They had almost zero data to train any systems. Plus, the programming languages themselves were so basic, trying to model something as complex as thought was incredibly difficult. It is a completely different universe from the cloud computing and endless data we have now. To put it another way,
What they were trying to do was like trying to run the AI on your smartphone today on a vintage pocket calculator. Seriously, the fact they got anywhere at all is just a testament to how brilliant they were.
So, after all this, why should we care about what happened 70 years ago? Well, it's because everything, and I mean everything, we see in AI today, from your smart assistant to all the apps on your phone, is built on the foundation laid by these dreamers way back in the 1950s. Just think about it. The 1950s gave us the big, core questions that still drive the field today. It gave the field its name, its identity. It delivered that crucial first proof that a machine could actually reason. It basically set the entire ambitious agenda for all the research that would follow for decades.
It really all traces back to that one initial spark, that belief that intelligence itself wasn't some kind of magic, that it could be understood, and maybe, just maybe, it could be replicated. The dream of the 1950s.
Is in so many ways the reality we're all living in right now. But that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. Is the AI we have today, this powerful, data-hungry, pattern-finding AI, is it truly the one those pioneers were dreaming of all those years ago? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining me.